blink. That starts the recording. And hello, my name is Mike. I am the computer guy here at East Chicago Public Library. And today we're going to be talking about safety and security on the internet. Okay. All right, so today we're going to go 2 hours with a break. We're going to talk about keeping your computer or your device or your smartphone, which these are just computers. So keeping your computer or device safe from viruses. We're going to talk a little bit about passwords. A lot of people struggle with passwords, and I know why, so we're going to give you some tips on creating passwords. We're going to talk about common scams, internet online scams, but we'll also talk about some other scams that might just come over on the telephone. And then we're going to talk about social media and algorithms. Who asked about algorithms last week? Somebody asked what an algorithm was. Is that you? Yeah. Right. So we'll have a better description of an algorithm today and how that relates to what we do on the internet. We'll talk about online banking and shopping, what is safe to do and what you need to be cautious about. And then we're also going to, at the end, we'll talk about keeping children safe on the internet as well. There are some tips for keeping the young ones safe. So this is a reminder. We do have a community help desk here at the main library twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday between 1 and 4. Here at the main library, it's first come, first serve, free technology help with anything that you need help with. So if there's something in class we didn't cover, something you didn't understand, or even if you miss a class and you want to get caught up, we can do that in help desk too. People come in with broken laptops, new phones they need help with, anything that you can need help with technology-wise. We're here Tuesday and Thursdays from 1 to 4. You can bring in your own devices. If it's heavy and you need help from the car, let us know. We'll take a book cart out and help. And there's no drop-offs. You must stay with your device at all times. We will help you fix it, but we can't take drop-offs right now. Hello. Okay, so, and then upcoming classes. Next Friday, October 24th, is our artificial intelligence class, which is interesting. We learn what it is, how it works, and why it's so important. And then after Friday, October 24th, that's next Friday, the week after that, which is Halloween, we will have a class here on Halloween. And it starts our 3-part hands-on basic computer class. So we're all going to get our own laptops, and we're all going to start learning how our laptop and desktop computers at home function. Not everybody needs a full computer at home. Some people get along just fine with a smartphone or a tablet. And remember, the smartphones and tablets are the same thing. So by the end of today, we do have a sign-in sheet. I'm going to ask you to sign in and put a check mark next to your name if you want to be included on the 3-part hands-on basic computer course, because that course is, since we all have laptops, I need to know exactly how many people are going to be here so we have enough laptops for everybody. But if you're fine with your tablet and smartphone, many people can get by in the world with just a tablet or smartphone. You probably don't need that hands-on class. You're welcome to take it, but you probably don't need it. I am adding, so in the past years here, I've done a block of computer classes in the spring at our other location, the Pastrick branch on Chicago Avenue. Hi, how you doing? Um, and then I took a couple of months off from classes, and then we did classes again here in the winter, fall and winter, in the afternoons. Evenings on that side of town in the spring, and afternoons in the fall and winter here. I'm going to add some more classes in between. So we're still going to keep the chunk of 12 weeks of classes, starting with tablet, smartphone, and internet, and then moving into hands-on computer classes. But I'm going to add some computer classes in the middle. And the classes that I'm going to add in the middle are going to make more sense why we need those classes after today and after next week's class. Because today is safety and security on the internet, and next week is artificial intelligence. But at the end of January, I'm going to do a class called Media Literacy and Misinformation. And some of the stuff that we talk about today will help you understand why these classes are important. This technology is scrambling our brains a little bit. Okay, it's designed to be addictive. These algorithms, we'll learn what that is, are designed to keep us in the phone. And there's other reasons why there's a lot of misinformation going around today. Okay. And I understand why. There's a lot of bad actors out there spreading misinformation. Artificial intelligence is what we're going to talk about next week. We've taught computers, we've built machines that can speak and that can learn on their own. And it's not that they're pretending to speak. Up until this point, the computers kind of just pretended to speak. Well, we've taught machines how to really speak. They understand what they're saying now. And we can ask them to diagram sentences, and they do a really good job of it. We've also taught these computers how to learn, which means that going forward in the future, being able to tell what is true and what is not true on the internet is going to be a little trickier. It's already tricky now. It is already tricky now. So between these classes, I'm going to do a media literacy and misinformation class to talk about different ways how we can tell what is true and what is not true. Okay. Librarians, I am not a librarian. Librarians are not fact checkers. Librarians are highly educated people, and they are required to work at the library. Marla Spann, our director, she has a Master of Library Science degree. She's required by the state of Indiana to keep her licensing up and keep continuing education up. Librarians are very good at coming up with a collection of information for the community that reflects the community, but can also challenge the community too. They are not into censorship. They do not believe in censorship. I've worked with a lot of librarians over the years, and I often have to go to librarians for advice. As an information professional, I am more about accessing information, where librarians are more about understanding the context of information. Okay. But media literacy and misinformation class that I'm doing is certified by the state of Indiana for continuing education for librarians. Okay. It is a good class. It'll give you an overview of what librarians know, and it'll also give you some good tools to determine what you're seeing is true and what is not true. I run into a lot of people today who don't trust the media. There are plenty of reasons not to trust the media. Okay. There are a lot of good reasons to also trust them as well. Okay, and we'll talk about those reasons too. After we do that class, in February of 2026, I'm sorry, those dates are wrong. It's not 2025, it should be 2026. So January and February 2025 already passed. Change that right now. I'm going to do a 4-week class called Mindfulness for Modern Life. Mindfulness for Modern Life. It's going to be a 4-week course, once a week, and it's going to only be for 1 hour a week. Okay? We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk a little bit about misinformation. But this is going to be basically a course on how to become mindful. Okay, you may have heard that as a buzzword, mindfulness. It has to do with mindfulness meditation. Okay. Meditation is simply a mental exercise. Okay. It comes from Buddhism 2,600 years ago. Some over the years, some people have treated it to be like a religion. This is not religious. The library does not promote any one religion. Okay. We have freedom of religion in this country. We are government, so we do not promote religion. So when I talk about mindfulness meditation in this class, it's simply talking about a mental exercise. And if you look back through a lot of religious scripture, Jesus went to the desert to meditate. Okay, there's meditation talked about in the Quran. There's meditation talked about in Greek philosophy. Okay, so this is simply a mental exercise, but what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to pair that class with a media literacy and misinformation class. Okay, that's going to teach us to hold on to our humanity. That'll make more sense next week when we start talking about artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is growing rapidly, a lot faster than most of us realize, and it's going to be changing a lot of aspects of our lives. Okay, we are already dependent on machines in amazing ways. We can't live, many of us can't live without a car, glasses, a fake hip, whatever it is. It's all technology, and it's all intermingling with humanity. So being mindful about our humanity is what the mindfulness classes are going to be about. Yes?
Just like that, for our classes for English,
Yeah.
we use our teacher and helpers, they use artificial intelligence for helping them to hold our classes.
Yeah.
Like making some skits, for exercise or reading.
Right.
It's amazing. I don't like that so much, but it's really helpful.
Right. And the artificial intelligence class next week, plus the media literacy and misinformation class, will clear some of that up. You have to remember, artificial intelligence is a tool. It's just a tool, right? Like a pencil. When somebody invented the pencil, they didn't realize how much this pencil or this pen could be used for good and for evil, both. Okay. The invention of the ship also invented the shipwreck. Right? So inventions aren't by themselves bad, and the invention of a tool is not bad. It's how we use it. Okay. Human beings currently hold the monopoly on evil. Right? No machines yet at all. We hold the monopoly on being evil. Okay. So understanding how these tools work, why they work, and understanding how some bad actors might use these tools to fool us is what a lot of this class, next week's class, and these classes that I'm doing in early 2026 are going to be. I'll make sure if anybody wants to be informed about when these classes come up in 2026. They're going to be the media literacy and misinformation class. I don't have a date for it yet. I think it's like the last Friday in January. And it's going to be the same time as this, on the same day, to hopefully accommodate all of us. Because it's obvious that all of us are available on Friday afternoons. So I'm going to try and keep that the same. When I go over to the other branch and do these classes at the Pastrick branch, I do them in the evenings, on Tuesday evenings. So I'm after that group of 12 classes, I'm going to do these again, and I'm going to try and keep them on Tuesday evenings to accommodate the people who were regularly in those classes. And then I'm going to do this. We do this every year. I do make changes to some classes, like today's class. I changed a lot of it because keeping yourself safe and secure on the internet changes rapidly. There's lots of changes every time I do this class. If you stay another 4 or 5 weeks with us in these classes, we're going to start doing classes on using a spreadsheet. Okay, that class hasn't changed at all, right? Using a spreadsheet is a pretty, the class I did 3 years ago on spreadsheets is exactly as it is today. Those don't change a whole lot. But today, next week, and this here is because the world is changing very rapidly. Okay. All right, so today let's start talking about, first of all, keeping your computer or your device safe. The good news is we don't get viruses on our computers like we used to 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had well, not 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I had a computer shop in Chesterton, Indiana, and most of our money was made by people bringing their computers in to get viruses removed. Viruses were very easy to get on your computer. You could go to the wrong website, and you could easily get your computer infected with multiple viruses, and then you'd have to take it into a professional to get those viruses removed. Over the years, the companies that make these computers really stepped up to the plate, and they do a really good job of keeping these computers from being infected with viruses nowadays. It's still possible, but it's very rare. I do not see viruses very often at all. What I do see a lot of is something called a fake alert. Okay? What?
You're saying viruses on computers. So then we're going to consider our smartphone computers, right?
That is right.
So I just got a text from McAfee.
Yeah.
About I need to re-up my. So is that a scam?
It could be. Do you currently have a McAfee account and pay for McAfee?
No longer.
How long ago was that?
Like 2019.
Oh, years and years ago? Then what you have is probably a scam. And that's on our agenda. We're going to talk about that today. That is in our common scam section later. I get those all the time. And most of the time, those scams say they act like they're a receipt, like you already paid for it. Oh, we just charged you $250 for 4 more years of McAfee. Thank you. That, and you think, I don't have McAfee. It's a scam. They're trying to trick you into calling them. Don't call them. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So since it's difficult for these people to get viruses onto these computers nowadays, they're not trying to hack the computers as much as they used to. They're trying to hack us now. That's what they're trying to do, because the computers are hard to hack into. We, on the other hand, are pretty easy to hack. We are pretty easy to fool. We trust each other. Not 100%, but overall, as a society, we default towards trusting each other. We have to. If we didn't, we wouldn't have survived. We just trust each other. We have to trust each other. Okay? So these scammers are taking advantage of the natural human capacity to default to trusting one another. That's how they're hacking us. So what'll happen is you'll sit down at your computer one day, and then you'll get this big flash of a screen pop up, maybe even make noise and flashing saying, you have a virus, or you've been compromised, or you're going to lose your bank account money. It's all a scam. They're trying to trick you into calling them or signing up for something, and this is not a virus that is installed on your computer. Almost always, this is just a web page that popped up a screen, or sometimes it even fills the whole computer screen so you can't close it, right? They're trying to convince you that your computer's infected with a virus when it is not. If you can't just close it, turning off your computer and turning your computer back on almost always removes that problem. It's not really a virus. I see it here in the computer lab all the time. I'll have a new employee out there who hasn't seen it yet, and they'll call in the back and go, "Oh, there's a computer. It's got a virus on it." I'm like, "Nah, it doesn't. Just restart the computer. It'll go away." Somebody clicked on a link or clicked on an ad on a website, and it pulled that up. And just closing the internet, closing your browser, or restarting the computer will clear it up and not really affect it. So that's pretty common. Yes.
So, okay, you just set it off, you don't delete it.
Well, it's not anything that needs to be deleted. It's just like a window from the internet that needs to be closed. But what they do is, you know how that little X in the corner will close the window? They'll remove that to make it hard to close. Right? If you do see the X, just close it. And sometimes closing your browser, like your Google Chrome browser, or if you're on an Apple, a Safari browser, sometimes just closing the browser will make that go away and then reopen the browser. But it's almost never really a virus. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you on the phone. Because if they get you on the phone, they have a lot of tactics to keep you on the phone, to scare you, to have them get access to your computer, that kind of thing. Okay? So just be aware that the most common thing I see out there these days is called a fake alert. It's not real. Okay? There is something out there called spyware or keyloggers that this is not something you're probably going to get just by going to the wrong kind of website these days. This is the kind of thing that somebody needs access to your computer to install it on your computer. And what it does is it records your keystrokes and kind of spies on you and watches what you do with the computer. It's a little piece of software that can take a screenshot of what website you're on, and it can record the keystrokes, and it sends that information to the internet where somebody else can read it. Okay? There are legitimate reasons to use this type of software. Okay? There was a client of mine when I had that shop in Chesterton who had like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy in school. And he was worried that his boy was selling marijuana at school. And he wanted to know if he could spy on his kid's computer use to hopefully catch him before authorities caught him. So we went and purchased this piece of software. It's a legitimate piece of software, and it is legal for him to do, to spy on his underage child. Fortunately, he caught the kid making little weed deals with friends at school, and he put a stop to it before the kid got in any real trouble. Okay? I had a woman call me at the same shop saying that her and her husband, she caught her husband cheating on her like a year ago. And they worked it out. They went to a counselor, and they decided that they were going to continue to be married and try to work things out. But now she was worried that he might be cheating on her again. So she asked if she could get this software put on the home computer. Well, I was a little worried about that. I didn't know. But we had a lawyer that I worked with at the company, at the shop, so I asked my lawyer. And he got back to me and he said, you can do it as long as they're not separated. If they both still live together and they're both married and they both own the computer, that is legal. If they're separated, that would be an illegal invasion of privacy to spy on somebody else. So when her husband wasn't home, I went to her house and I installed it, and they're now divorced. She caught him again. So there are legal reasons to use this kind of software. So what would happen is her husband would use the computer. The computer would be taking screenshots of the pages he was on and any keystrokes that would send it up to a website where she could get on the website later and see a list of everything that was done on the computer. Now, there are illegal ways to use this too. So I had a young woman call me, and she said, you know, my ex-boyfriend shows up everywhere I'm at. And it's weird. You know, so I thought to myself, I think he might be spying on me. So I sent a text message to my friend and I asked her to meet me at this bar that I would never go to. He would never go to. It was a bar that was just off the wall on purpose. And he was there. So I'm convinced he's spying on me. So I came out to her house and this kind of software was installed on her computer. And I said, did he have access to this computer? And she's like, yeah, he was over. And I went and took a shower and I left him in the main front room. And I think he just went over and he installed it on the computer when I was busy. And then he was spying on her. So I removed it. A professional computer person can find this on your computer. If you are worried about that, then you can bring it into our help desk, your computer, and we can take a look. Okay. Yeah. Right. This logs your keystrokes. So what it does is it logs everything you type. So it can actually steal your passwords too. If somebody got it onto your computer, right, and they got a screenshot of your bank and a log of the keystrokes that you were logging, that you were typing in, it could do the same thing. Yeah.
It's just on computer or maybe on tablet or phone.
It's hard. It can be done on all of them.
I mean, if somebody installed this on my computer, I look in what I'm doing, banking, for example.
Right.
If I don't banking on computer, but just on the phone or tablet, can he see?
No. So, like I said, somebody would really need to have access to your computer to get it on there. The same with the phone or the tablet. They could install it on your phone, but they would have to get your phone from you unlocked and then install it. And they could do that. But if they install it on your computer at home when you weren't looking, it wouldn't tell them what your phone was doing. And these are rare. I don't see them very often, but they are out there. We need to know what they are. So this is not a common thing, especially since it kind of really, it's hard to get that installed on your computer without somebody having access to it. So it's really, it's not an effective method on spying on a lot of people. It's an effective method on spying on somebody that you're targeting, Because also nowadays, people aren't going to target you directly to try and steal your credit card number. That's a lot of work for a credit card number that might not have any money on the credit card, right? If you're wealthy, you might have more to worry about. Somebody might be targeting you because they know you're rich, right? But for most of us regular folk, no one's going to target me. What they're going to do is they're going to target a big company that has 1 million credit cards on their computer. Because if they can hack into that computer, they're going to get 1 million credit cards, and they're going to be able to try the first one, the second one, the third one, just to see which one works. That's how it kind of works these days. So you don't really have to worry about being targeted directly, unless you have enemies, or if you're rich, then maybe you do. Okay. All right. So with McAfee and other third-party virus software, for the most part, if you have a Windows computer, you don't need it. If you have gotten viruses in the past, maybe it might be a good idea to pay for a little bit of extra protection. But nowadays, Microsoft Windows comes with its own security software built in that does a good job. It's called Defender. It's on automatically. You do not have to install a third-party antivirus software program like McAfee or Norton or Avast or any of those. It doesn't hurt if you want to. That's fine. But for the most part, you don't have to. Okay. And if you are, I would consider letting it expire and then removing it from your computer if you are paying for it, because I don't think it's necessary. Only people who have risky internet behavior, You know, going to a lot of gambling sites, going to a lot of adult websites, stuff like that. Yeah, you might need a little bit more protection, but for the most part, what comes with your computer is good enough. So let's talk about there is ways to install software on your computer that might not be a virus, but is kind of junky, maybe even a little malicious. Sometimes you'll see, hey, you know, a free screensaver, and you install software for a screensaver from the internet, and then all of a sudden you've got 4 or 5 other pieces of software that came along with it. You know, like a PDF reader and a weird browser that you don't know anything. And you're like, wait, where did all this other stuff come from? Well, so that can happen sometimes. And that isn't, they don't really consider that a browser because it's easy to go in and just remove that from your computer. But there are some times where you might install something on your computer that's junky, okay, or even spammy. So nowadays, they try to direct people to an official app store to buy these apps. And it started with our iPhones and our Android phones. We have an app store to install little apps on our phone. The nice thing about having an app store is either Google or Apple, whoever maintains that app store, kind of reviews the software before they allow it to be put on the app store. Okay, so if there's something really malicious or bad out there, it's not going to be in your app store. Okay, so if you are looking to install software on your phone, tablet, or on the computer, the Microsoft also has an app store now too. So you can go right to the Microsoft Windows App Store, and it's kind of like a curated store of, and you can buy games, you can buy word process, you can buy anything you want. Lots and lots of great stuff, but it's all kind of been looked through to make sure it wasn't bad before they put it up. Occasionally something gets through, but for the most part, they do a really good job of keeping that up to date. So installing new apps through an app store, it's easier, it's more secure, they automatically update themselves. So I would recommend that. And a lot of times nowadays, if you did get something that you don't like on your computer or your phone, you can just remove it. On a computer, like if you're using a Windows computer, you can just go to Settings and Apps. And it'll list all of the apps that you have installed on your computer. And I'll show you how to do that on a Windows computer here. If you go into Settings, it looks like this little gear. In Microsoft Windows 11, they started changing the names of things and how they look to more look like what you have on your phone, which is a good idea because so many of us are used to going into our phone and finding a little gear like that says Settings. And then the computer used to have a different picture. It said Control Panel, and it's just, it would be different, right? So they said, well, let's not do that. Everybody's used to the gear and the settings. Let's just call it Settings with the gear on the computer now. So one thing I like that Microsoft is doing with Windows 11 is they're kind of making it look and act and feel a little bit what we're used to. I mean, most of us have these, even if we don't have a computer. So that helps. But if you go into your settings, over here on the left-hand side, you will see a link for apps. And here's a list of all your installed apps. And they're alphabetical. Oftentimes, if you do have something on your computer that is bothering you, like something accidentally got installed that you didn't want it to get installed, you'll recognize it in this list. But the other thing is important to tell you, you're not going to recognize everything installed on your computer. And a lot of this stuff you need on there. So don't just go removing stuff if you don't recognize it, because you might be removing stuff that you really need. Okay, so give it a look-see. It's probably going to be obvious. A lot of times you get like something called a Wave browser. Why do I have a Wave browser? And it'll just be listed as Wave browser. You can click on it, and you can, or on the little menu on the here left, you can click on that, and you can just uninstall it right there. In Windows 10, it looks a little different, but it's the same thing. Settings, apps, and then it gives you your whole list of apps. You can also sort this because it comes up alphabetical, but just to let you know that if you sort this by date installed, it might bring to the top the most recently installed apps, right? So if something just happened yesterday, oh, is my computer so weird? Sorting by install date might bring up to the top the most recent piece of junk that got installed in your computer. But these dates aren't always correct. Because if there's an update to a piece of software, it might show that it was just recently installed when it wasn't. As a matter of fact, see Google Chrome? That's my Chrome browser. Well, that's been on this computer since I got it. I use that as my main browser. It's telling me it was installed on October 17th, which is today. It was updated today, so that date changed. Okay, so sorting by the date installed might help. It might help bring to the top something that was recently maliciously installed, but it might not. It might just show you what was updated most recently, so don't trust that either. Sometimes I see something on this list I don't recognize, and I'll just go and Google it. I'll go to Google and I'll just type in the name of the app, and you'll see in the results pretty quick if it's something malicious. If it's like malware, where they call that malware, bad, malicious software on your computer. But yeah, there's things on here that I don't recognize. See, like you look at this and go, Bonjour, what is that? Well, it tells you who publishes it. It's Apple publishes Bonjour. It's actually legitimate software that helps things like iTunes and other things work. But I remember when I first saw Bonjour, I'm like, I didn't install that. What is that? And I had to do some digging, and I go, oh no, it helps iTunes work. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. So on Windows 10, 11, go to Settings, go to Apps, and just be aware that if you don't recognize an app, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Okay, so you can get malicious apps on your smartphone too. Smartphones really don't get viruses. They do, they can, but they don't on a regular basis. So I would right now say that it's nothing you need to worry about on an Android phone or an iPhone. While it's possible, we just really don't see it. What we see a lot more of is legitimate apps that are just kind of junky, okay? Or they have too many advertisements, okay? The Bible verse apps you can get on your phone, oh my goodness, the advertisements. Jesus would have thrown them out of the temple so quick. So if you're having trouble with that and you want a Bible, you can get an ebook version of the Bible, no ads at all, and it's a real nice. You can change the size of the text. Come see me in help desk. I'll help you do that. But get rid of those Bible apps. They're junk. They're all junk. Trying to take advantage of you. But there's also a lot of other apps. So sometimes you'll see an app in the App Store that you like, and you'll install it, and then like your whole phone's different. That can happen too, because they do make apps that kind of take over the whole interface of the phone, right? And sometimes it can be tricky to remove them too. Yeah. If you came into help desk and I had to help you get one of those off your phone once, yeah, that's right. So I do see that, not a whole lot, but here and there. So if something happened to your phone, you might just be able to go into settings and apps on your phone, right? If you see any little icon on your phone, you can tap and hold, and it'll give you options. And those options might have an uninstall right in there. If you see an app you know you don't want, you just tap and hold, and you might be able to uninstall it. If it's not that easy, come and see me in help desk. We can help get that off really easy. Setting apps. Okay, so if you go to an iPhone app store or an Android app store to shop for an app, it'll say, oh, I want to get this, or I want to download it and install it. After you do that, you can use the App Store to uninstall apps too. So like if you see this picture up here, this is on the App Store. See how it has an update button? You can update the app, but see how next to it also says uninstall? So that's a secondary way to uninstall an app on your phone. I've seen some of these malicious apps, when you go to settings apps, they don't have an uninstall button. Right. So if they're trying to purposely make it harder for you to remove it. So you might have to go to the App Store and then and search for it in your App Store. And if you already have it on your phone, the App Store will say that it's already on your phone. You know, it'll say uninstall or update like Google Maps on the picture is. You might be able to uninstall it right there. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about passwords. And I would first like to apologize. A lot of people in the technology community, professionals in the early days, we used to tell you things like, don't use the same password on more than one site. Make sure they're all different. Make sure they're really long and complicated, and don't write them down. Yeah, I know. That's terrible advice. Okay. But there are good reasons why that advice was given at the time, and it's a little bit different now. So let's talk about why that is and how we can create passwords that are going to be different enough and still keep us safe. So the case against repeating passwords on multiple sites. There are some good reasons not to use the same password on every site you go to. If you bank in town, your bank might have your username be your email address and your password. You know, so then you might say, you know what, one night I would like some Jimmy John's delivered to me. So you go to the Jimmy John's website and you put in your email address and your password. I don't know, maybe the kid at Jimmy John's knows who you are. Maybe the kid at Jimmy John's knows where you bank. Maybe that kid at Jimmy John's making your sandwich might just go, I wonder if they just use the same password on the bank. The other reason is sometimes these passwords do get out, like companies get hacked, right? If you use the same password on all your accounts, if one of those companies gets hacked, well, then now your password is out for all of the websites. Okay. But not all websites really need the same security, right? So like Jimmy John's website doesn't hold my credit card. I have to put in my credit card or pay for it every time I go. So if somebody were to get into my Jimmy John's account, they could order me a sandwich, you know, but I mean, they can't do a lot of damage getting into my Jimmy John account. So I might use the same password at Jimmy John's as I do at Pizza Hut, right? It doesn't really matter. The websites you got to worry about are like your bank and your credit card, right? Social security information. And nowadays, they've even made that a lot harder. If somebody were to get your bank account password for your online banking and log into your bank, what could they do? Well, if they tried to transfer money out of your account, that leaves a real good trail. A real good trail as to who got the money on the other side. So there'd be some legal recourse if they did that illegally, right? They can move money to and from your accounts, but that's not getting them anywhere. So really, they kind of make it hard for these people, if they were to get into your account, to do anything serious. Okay. But that doesn't mean we need to be lax about our passwords. Okay. So understanding what information, what websites keep and how they keep it is important to determine how complicated the password needs to be and whether it needs to be unique for each site. So what I like to do First of all, we gave everybody this blue notebook and a pen. Write down your passwords. They would tell you not to write down your passwords but you have to. You're going to forget them. You don't. Keep your book at home. Keep it safe. You know, but write them down in this little blue book. All right. I pretty much keep like 3 or 4 passwords. Right. I have one password that's really simple that I use on sites that really don't have sensitive information out there. Jimmy John's, might have my name and my address in Jimmy John's, but not a whole lot else. Gmail, I don't want anybody in my email. I'll make that a little harder. I don't want anybody in my Facebook page. I'll make that a little harder. And then I'll make a real hard one for my credit cards and my bank accounts. Okay. But I might mix them up a little bit. But what I do is I kind of try and follow a formula, right? So they're not all super different. So you only have like a handful of things you have to guess. So I start with a root word. Okay. They used to tell you to make your passwords really long and complicated because people would make computer programs to try and guess every combination of letters and numbers. And they said, well, if you made it really long with lots of letters and numbers and special characters, it would take the computer program 1,000 years to guess it. Well, now they don't let computer programs guess passwords like that anymore. If you guess your password wrong 4 or 5 times, you get a message coming up going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you a person? Are you a robot? Are you just a computer program trying to guess? So these websites really don't let those computer programs do that like they used to. So we don't really need them to be super long and complicated like we did in the old days. We just need them to be something that people can't guess. Right? So for like 3 levels of complexity for a password, the easy one, I might just pick like the city I was born in or the street I grew up on, right? I was born in Blue Island, Illinois. Or the library is on Columbus Avenue. Okay? Columbus Avenue or Blue Island with a capital B and a capital I, that's probably a secure enough password for a Pizza Hut, for Jimmy John's, something like that. You need something a little bit harder. Add a number or a special character to that same word, like a $sign or a £, or a number 1 at the end, or the year you were born or the year you graduated at the end, something like that. Okay, and then for the really hard ones, do both, $sign or £, and then a year. So here's like 3 examples, like Blue Island or $sign Blue Island or $sign Blue Island 1952. Those are 3 levels of passwords. And you can reuse them a little bit. The secure ones, try not to reuse them that much. But honestly, like my Chase credit card and my Capital One credit card, I'm probably have both the same password. It's easy to change a password if you have to. And then when you do have to change a password, just change the special character. Leave the rest of it the same. Or change the root word, but keep the special character and the number the same. And just change the root word every so often. Change it. Blue Island's now Columbus Avenue. $sign 1952. Okay. These are things that might make it a little easier so we don't have all these passwords in our head. The other thing is, when you do write it down, you need to write down 3 things. You need to write down where the username and password belongs to, like the website, whether it's Jimmy John's or your bank or whatever. The next thing is your username. Most of the time, most websites have your username just be your email address. Okay. Your password is what you change. You don't do that. That username will never change. You go to Jimmy John's, that username is going to be the same no matter how long you're a Jimmy John's customer. But if you feel somebody might have compromised your account, or Jimmy John's might say, hey, our computer system got hacked, so please change your password. Well, your username will never change. Just change that password. But when you are writing these down, you need to write down 3 things. Okay, the website it belongs to, the username, and the password, because they're all going to be different for each different website you go on. So people will come into my help desk like, oh, I need help with my Facebook account. Like, okay, well, what's your password? And they'll bring out a piece of paper, and the piece of paper's got like 30 passwords written on it.
Yeah.
But no usernames.
Yeah.
And no, and you, yeah, it sounds to me like a lot of people are guilty of this. You're not the only one. I see it all the time, right? And it also doesn't tell you what the username or what website it belonged to. So then we're just going through all these random passwords trying to see what's what. But don't be afraid to change your password. Okay, that's just our lot in life. We're going to be rolling that stone up the hill forever, changing passwords and updating our phones.
Yeah, I know, like, what is it, the health thing, you can go online and check out your health information.
Right, your
My job,
My Chart, right?
and I forgot my password. They had it. Oh, is that?
You called My Chart and they told you what it was?
My child, I called the hospital, and they had
They told you what it was. Oh, okay. Your username, yes, because that other people can see, and that will never change. So yes, they will tell you your username. They will not. They should not know your password. Even if you are a customer of theirs, if you call them and say, "I forgot my password. Can you tell me what it is?" They'll say no. We don't know it. We can send you a link to change it. But see, even like on my computer network here is the same way. If somebody forgets their password, I don't have a way to look at it. All I can do is go in there and clear it out and send them a link to update it. So, but yeah, that's possible. And if you don't know your username for Facebook, there's ways to figure that out. Huh?
What is that? Because I don't know mine, but it's saved.
It's saved?
I just click on the icon.
Oh, your password is probably saved as all little stars.
Right.
Okay, so, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Your browser can save your passwords
Yeah.
if you're logged into the browser. Now on the phone, you're logged in. So your phone can save passwords. You can also have your computer save passwords. But we talked about this last week in the browser class. You can sign into your browser, and then it'll synchronize settings across other computers where you use the same browser. But it'll also, if you're signed in with a username and password, your browser can save those passwords too. You can go into your browser and go to passwords, and you can look at what those passwords are. It'll probably make you put in your PIN number for your phone before it shows it to you to make sure it's you looking at those passwords. Come to help desk. Yeah. Because your username, that won't be hidden. When you look at your list of passwords, your username should just be listed, and then the password is hidden in the password manager on your phone or your browser. And then when you click on there's a little eyeball next to it that says, no, as a matter of fact, let me show you how it looks. If I go to my Chrome browser, I can, is it under passwords? Here it is. Passwords and autofill is under this. So if I go to my Google Password Manager, it lists all the websites like 1-800-Flowers. I've not used that in a long time. Okay. Well, I'm not going to enter my PIN. I was hoping it would show me my username without asking for the PIN. Let me try this. Oh, it's not. Okay. So it's asking me for my PIN that I use to get onto this computer before it'll show me my username and password. And I'm not going to do that because I'm streaming to the internet. I don't want to give everybody my 1-800-Flowers password, which I haven't used in a long time. Your browser on your phone has that same ability. Okay, any questions before we move on to common scams? Do we have any questions about passwords? Saving passwords to different websites? Every website is going to have its own login credentials. That's a username and password. And you can use the same username on almost all websites. And most of them are your email address. They'll just tell you, I'll make your email address your username, but not all of them. And Facebook is one of them. You can have a custom username. And sometimes, like, I think my credit card company doesn't allow me to use my email address as my username. They want me to create my own. But the username isn't what's sensitive. It's your password. The username will never change. It's the password that'll change to keep other people out. And it's never a problem to change your password. If you're worried at all that maybe somebody got access to one of your accounts, it's easy to change your password. It's a little different on every website, but they make it easy to get to. Just change your password if you're worried. That'll keep somebody out. That'll keep somebody out. Okay. So, scams we see on the computer and on the telephone. If you have a landline, my mother is retired. She still has her landline. And I question her about that all the time because it's just a scam central. It's nothing but scam calls. And she said, one day, I just decided to she's retired. She's at home knitting and watching TV, playing with the cat. So she's just making little tallies of how many phone calls she got. 2 days, 200 calls. All scams, every single one.
I got a landline too, but my landline I don't give out. This is the only number I give out.
Yeah.
I give my landline to people I know personally. It's not about business or anything like that.
Yeah.
So on Friday night, like tonight, at 8 o'clock tonight, this phone goes off. So anybody calls me, it's going straight to voicemail or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they call me on my landline, then I'll answer. I also have a voicemail on that too. So if it's a number that I don't know, I don't answer. I just let it go straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
Because this thing here gets so many spam calls, so many calls, and I guess by me just buying a house a couple years ago, you get all these in here, loan companies.
I made that mistake once too. Yeah.
And it's pathetic because I think I must have got over 200 one day on the same phone, just scams of people trying or advertising and stuff like that.
I know. I was gonna buy a new car and I saw an advertisement for like Lending Tree it was like an actual like well-known company.
Right.
So just try it, get a good rate. So I go on the website. And, okay, what's your email? What's your phone number? How much money are you looking for? And they give me the rate, and it's a terrible rate. I'm like, well, I can get a much better rate at my bank, or even at the car dealer for that matter. And the next day, the phone calls and emails started coming in. It's like, man, they're just collecting phone numbers and emails just to, yeah. I felt duped, but.
For insurance, if you call somebody, give you a call.
Yeah.
It's like they listening to you
Yeah.
talk to somebody else. And once they
Email,
find out that you talk to somebody, a whole list of different companies in that same field,
Yeah.
all of a sudden they calling you,
Right. And emails are the same way. So if you ask for a company, asks for your email address, you don't know who they're going to sell that to. But that stuff has been going on for a lot longer than the internet. When I started working for a real estate company in Chicago in 1995, early internet. As a matter of fact, I was the first person to set up email at that company. And they had a corporate office in Atlanta, a corporate office in Dallas, and one in Chicago. And they didn't have email yet. It was 1995, and email was still pretty new. So I went down to Atlanta and down to Dallas and hooked up this email servers and got email working in the company in 1995. So the internet was still real new. They didn't have websites where you could apply for jobs or social media, none of that yet. It was all real simple. Well, one day this real estate company managed really large apartment communities, nice apartment communities, and they would take retirement funds would invest in it. It was a real estate investment trust. So they'd build these big fancy apartment buildings. And then my boss comes to me one day and goes, okay, so when somebody comes in to rent an apartment, we give them this piece of paper and they fill out all the places they lived, how much money they make a year, how many pets they have, and all this information about this person. And then they give it to us, and then our leasing agents type it into a big spreadsheet on the computer. It wasn't on the internet yet, it was just on a spreadsheet. So my boss says, well, we have all these spreadsheets of the names and addresses of people who own pets and make a certain amount of money per year. Pet stores in those communities will spend big money for a list of people who own pets who make good money. So he said, I need you to take all these spreadsheets and I need you to fix them all up so we can start selling them off to people. That was pre-internet. And you don't think of it when you go in to rent an apartment that you're giving somebody else. And then I hear people all the time, are they using my information? It's like, is it your information or is it their information about you? You just gave it to them, you know? And that's what it is. It is. Yeah. And it's getting worse, a lot worse. So the most common scams I'm seeing today are imposter scams. Phone calls, emails, or text messages that pretend to be the government, pretend to be the tax man coming to arrest you, right? Or tech support, fake tech support, saying that they're from Microsoft, or they're from Comcast, or they're from McAfee. You know, you see a lot of that. We also see family scams. This is most often done on the phone. And I had a woman in one of these classes just admit to it. She's like, I got scammed like 2 weeks ago. I got a phone call from somebody saying that they were my grandkid. And it was a scratchy line, so I didn't, and it was my granddaughter saying that she was at spring break and she was in Mexico and she got arrested, and please don't tell my mom, and can you send me money and get me out of jail, grandma, please? And grandma goes and gets credit card and gives it to somebody who's not the granddaughter, and then credit card gets cleaned out.
Now, what I do is I say, okay, well, give me your number and where you at, and I'll go get a money order and I'll send it to you. Normally when you do that, they'll hang up because
Right.
they're looking for money right now. So, you know, I try to think before I act. And when
You
I
try to think before you act.
Yeah, I try to think before I act. And when I listen to them, and if it doesn't sound right, they can come to me and talk about my kids all I want. But I know I keep in touch with my kids, and I know what they need and what they don't need, and they know how I am. I'm not sending money to anybody, and if the voice doesn't sound right, first thing I say, well, okay, give me your birthday. They don't know my kid's birthday.
Yeah.
You know, or what's up
Yeah.
middle name.
See, that's all great, but here I'm going to tell you something. And because this, I have experience with this in my family. I had a family member call me, an older family member who doesn't go to work anymore. She retired. And when we retire, we don't get up every day and put our brain to work like we did when we were at work every day.
Right.
So our brain gets slower. Natural, it's fine. I can't wait till my brain's slower, honestly, one day. But we're not as quick, and we're not as sharp on our feet, right? So I had this family member, oh, I got this text message from McAfee saying that I bought all this stuff and I didn't buy it. And do you think it's a scam? It is absolutely a scam. They're just trying to trick you into calling a number, right? A couple weeks later, same family member, oh, I got this. Is this a scam? Yes, that is also a scam. Just whatever you do, just don't call any of these numbers. They're just trying to trick you into calling them, and they're going to try and get access to your computer. They're going to tell you to go to the computer, go to a website, and get access to the computer, right? A couple weeks later, another one. Oh, hey, is this a scam? Yeah, that's a scam too, and I'm sorry you're getting lots of scams. We all are. It's just part of the, you know. A couple weeks later, I don't think she got enough sleep. because it happened again. And she called the number and she gave him access to the computer. And then she called me. She's like, I got scammed. I gave somebody access to my computer, and she was okay. It wasn't nothing bad happened, but, and she even said, she's like, after I did it all, then I thought, I knew this. I should have known this. So don't feel bad if you get suckered. Because the thing is we trust people, and there's nothing wrong with that. We should trust people. We need to be cautious.
But I don't trust people.
Well, you do to a certain extent. We all do to a certain extent. But the thing is you're going to have one day where you didn't get enough sleep, or you had too many glasses of wine the night before, and you're not going to think about it. You're just going to go, I didn't order McAfee, and you're going to call that number. And you're not going to think about it. That's going to happen.
Yeah. When I worked I worked at Jesse Brown. And so it was a friend of mine that I worked with. And so on Facebook, they sent me a text saying, hey, artist, do you know about this senior $95,000 government give back or something like that? And I said, no. And they said, well, here's a number you can call. I said, first of all, you're not who you say you are, because this guy don't talk like that. And I asked him a question, and they couldn't give me a reply. I said, don't text me no more, or I'll report you, or whatever. I said, I got kind of weak.
Yeah.
So, but it's out there though.
Question?
Yes, I'm always getting checks from upgrade. Last check they sent them was $2,500.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, I can actually speak on that.
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
So I admittedly was a part of a job-related scam many years ago where I was looking for a job. I applied. I got an instant reply back, and they said, let's do an interview. Of course, the interview goes amazingly well, and I get the job. And they're like, okay, well, we need you to get equipment. We're going to send you a check. So they send me a check for that amount, but what they want after the check is they want information from your banking. So after I put in the check, the check of course bounced. That had no real value to it, and they got access to my account, and I lost all the money that was on my account because they basically they were just looking for that type of monetary scam.
Okay, so I know what upgrade is. I get those too. It's not a check. It is designed to look like a check. It's a loan. If you cash the check, you're agreeing to the loan. And if you look, it looks just like a check. But if you look right at the bottom, it'll say this is not a check. But they're trying to trick you into thinking that you just got money, but they're just trying to. I get these daily I even get them from my bank, and they look just like a check, and it's just $40,000, sign here, and it's like, but this is not a check. They're trying to sell you a loan. So yeah. Romance scams. This is one that I've seen in the help desk a lot too. So
Hopefully.
yeah. Well, locally, but here's the thing. It's normally happens to somebody locally, but the person they're talking to is not local.
Right.
So I had a gentleman come in and say, oh, well, I've been texting this woman for a couple months now. And then she's a real pretty girl, but she was having some problems. She needed some help paying her rent. So I sent her $1,200, and I did it again. And, and she was supposed to meet me, and it keeps falling through. And I'm starting to think it's a scam. So I said, well, let's take a look, and shows me a picture of this real beautiful, probably a 22-year-old Asian woman. And I'm like, oh, she's really attractive. So I go to Google and I take the picture and I do a Google image search on the picture. And we find the Instagram account of the woman who that is. And she's from Mandarin. She's from China, or she was from Singapore, and not the person at all. So somebody just found this Asian Singaporean woman on Instagram, stole her picture, pretended to be her, talked to this guy into thinking she was interested in him, and then started asking for money. And I said, well, that's definitely not this person. I think you've been scammed. And then he said, oh, well, what about this girl I've been sending money to? And I'm like, oh, buddy, a scam or not? Right, because he didn't know. He really thought he was talking. He was probably talking to like some fat Russian guy, and had no idea, and just pretending to be this attractive. So on my mother's Facebook page, I saw the same thing. She would get comments from men on Facebook, and they all kind of had the same thing going on. They were all military, they were all widowed, and they were all stationed someplace else. But they're from here, and they're rugged, good-looking men. And oh, I saw your profile, and you look very interesting. That's not who it is, not at all. And they're just trying to get, they're trying to prey on women who might be lonely. My mother's not lonely. She's single, but she's not lonely. So she doesn't care. She doesn't call those people. But some people, they are, and they're being taken advantage of.
I think of the word catfish.
That's what they call that, catfishing. Yeah, they call that catfishing.
Yeah.
Artists.
Yeah, I even was on that. I was on Facebook, and to me, I saw this lady on there, so I talked to her. Well, I texted her. She texted me back, and so I said, "Well, hey, why don't I come down one of you?" So she said, "Okay." I guess she didn't think I was coming, and so I drove down to, I think it was Cincinnati. And when I saw her, this was not the same woman. So I went back and jumped in my car and I drove home. And from that point on, I don't do social media over the phone.
Yeah.
The thing is not, if I meet somebody first, I'd rather meet somebody personally.
Yeah.
I can see who I'm talking to
Yeah.
and what I'm talking. Because I know most of the stuff on Facebook, it's men and they took somebody else's picture, or they go to a picture place and get different pictures and stuff like that and put them on Facebook and say, this is so-and-so or so-and-so this, and they're looking for them. They're not women.
Right. So I have a friend who, he's older than me, he's 20 years older than me, a doctor, professional, nice guy. Wants to get back into the dating scene. He's lonely. He just wants to get back into dating. So he signed up for a dating website, right? And it was just a constant barrage of people who weren't really the right person, And then he just started to get to the point where it's like, okay, well, I've met you and I've seen your picture. Let's just do a FaceTime, or let's just do a video chat real quick just to make sure. And then they never hear from him again. Yeah. And that's how you know it's fake, right? So there are some dating sites out there that do require that you are the real person that you sign up to be. And he did that. So he found a different site that required, if you want to be on this dating site, you have to show your driver's license. It has to match your face, and it has to match your name and your profile. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. And he successfully going out on a third date with a woman. I saw him on Sunday. He's like, oh yeah, it's going pretty well. I finally found a dating site that, wasn't a scam.
The only app I know, well, there's not a lot of apps I've been searching for, but the one that I trust a little bit more is What's Up app or WhatsApp or something like that.
WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, I only had one venture with it. It was from this young lady out of New York. And so we did a face-to-face. So I was able to see who she was.
Okay.
And so, but other than that, that was it. you know, and I don't do a lot of that on that either. And
Yeah.
I'm still strictly an old fashioned person where I like to meet who I'm talking to so I can speak if this is real.
Yeah. So how did you meet with her on
She got in contact with me.
but you just did a video chat online?
Yeah, we did a video chat.
That's not that old fashioned then.
Yeah, I know, you know.
Good for you though. That's good.
But she's the one that said, well, do you do video chat? I
Yeah.
said, I hadn't done one, so I said I wanted to see. So I said, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I saw it, she's a beautiful young lady.
All right. Well, FaceTime is a video chat, but it's only Apple. But there's lots of other apps out there that will let you video chat to people. FaceTime is specifically an Apple only product, but it does the same thing. So, okay. So anyway, some of the common scams, and they're trying to either get remote access to your computer or trying to get you to call them to tell you to go to your computer. All of those are red flags. When you get these little codes to prove that it's you logging into a website, those codes always start with, nobody will call and ask you for this code. Okay? It's meant for you to put it into the computer to prove that it's you trying to change your password or log in on a computer that it hasn't seen you log in before. So that's something you need to be wary of too. And if you do get scammed, it happens to everybody. Okay? Don't feel too bad about it. I feel bad for anybody who does get scammed, of course, but it's not your fault. If somebody out there is trying really hard to trick you and you get tricked, that's not your fault. Okay? But here, let's talk about spoofing. So this is a way that people can steal your passwords too. This is fairly common. Somebody will send you, text you, or email you a link to a web page, and when you open up that web page, it looks like the web page for your bank or credit card, but it's not. It's really easy to create fake websites that look like you're logging into something. This is an example. If you look up in the address bar up here of this eBay, see it's this number. This is not eBay's web page. Every browser has an address bar up at the top to show you the name of the website you're on. Okay? Banks and credit card companies will not send you links to check to make sure if something is legitimate or not. They will text you and say, hey, go to your computer and log into your bank account and see if this is okay, if it's really them, because they know not to send you a link. You're not supposed to trust those links. Okay? Because if you do click on a link like this and it's not really eBay, when you put in your user ID and your password, you just gave that username and password to somebody else. They call that a phishing scam. They're trying to trick you into giving up your information. Social media site? Right, yeah. It's not social media. It's pretty much they're trying to trick you into logging into a website that looks like your bank or something else that is not. Home Depot, anything like that, right. And checking that address, or if somebody says, oh, hey, please check your account to make sure it's okay, just don't click the link at all. You have an app on your phone, or you know how to get to the website on your computer if you already use it that way, just go directly there. You know, if they give you a phone, you know what else? They'll sometimes say, call this number to make sure. Banks and credit cards don't do that either. Banks and credit cards say, call the number on the back of the card. They do not give you a number because they tell you don't call a number if somebody gives you a number. Call the number on the back of your card. You know you're getting to the right person. Every credit card's got that phone number right on the back of the card to keep that from happening. Okay. So red flags, what you need to watch for, a sense of urgency. The scammer is going to pressure you to act immediately, saying that you're going to either miss a limited time offer or you're going to face dire consequences if you don't do this right away. We see this with IRS scams a lot. Call somebody, oh, hey, you know you're owed your back taxes. They're on their way to arrest you right now.
They
Yeah.
didn't leave a phone, they didn't put a phone number on it. somebody coming.
Somebody's coming to get you. Go get your credit card and we'll stop it right now. That is a red flag. That is saying, you know what? I don't think that's the case.
Or also, BMW. Or you got the license, I got a ticket. But don't come with it. But anyway, they said you don't, and I had to, so anyway. Fortunately, I called.
40,000.
And they said, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Missing tolls, that's a common text message that happened in the last 6 months or so. People started getting text messages saying, oh, you were in a car and you missed your toll, which is, I've actually missed tolls like that in the past, so it's kind of legitimate. But yeah, that's a common scam going around too. Unusual payment methods for paying for things is also another way, because you can't pay people directly who are scamming you, because a lot of times that can be traced. So what they'll tell you to do is get gift cards, like Apple iTunes gift cards or Amazon gift cards, and then take a picture of the card and send me the back of it. And they can use that to kind of launder money to get it out into something else. Offers that are too good to be true. You just want a bunch of money, or I have a bunch of money that I can pay you, but I can't get it out of my country, and blah. Scams. If they offer massive profits, guaranteed profits, prizes or winnings for something you didn't sign up for, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true.
I'm not sure.
Sure.
And this may sound cruel, but it's how I feel.
Okay.
Because when I used to get those calls and text messages and letters and my property taxes, my home been taken over. My kids, my adult children still, Mom, you're just old and they're doing that to old people. And then when they start getting them, all I do is don't click on the links and blah, blah, this, and you never know when it's someone really in need. And when they start getting them, I mean, I honestly laugh. So they hear the other people. It's funny. It's serious, but it's funny.
Requests for remote access to your computer or credentials. They ask you to grant remote access or to verify your password or PIN on an unsuspected link. Those are all red flags. Unsolicited contact. And I'll get messages, a text message that says, oh, hey, are we still on for Saturday? Who's this? Oh, and it's always a female name. And then they send me a picture, and it's a 22-year-old attractive Asian girl for some reason. It's like, what? And yeah, so, artificial intelligence, which we're going to talk about next week. We've taught these computers to speak. So I'll show you next week, you can put an app on your phone. You can have intellectual conversations with a machine. That is really pretty amazing. Well, somebody out in California made a little app for your phone so that if a scammer calls, you can send it to AI, and the AI will just talk to them like it's a person to keep them on the line for a really long time. And you can look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious because the AI is like, well, let me find my wallet. Oh, I go, well, wait a minute. I don't think this is the right way. It's just battling on. And the scammer's on the phone getting more frustrated, but it's talking to a computer. So that's probably how we're going to solve a lot of these scam calls, is we're just going to be able to install an AI that can talk to the scammers and keep them busy for a while. Okay, so if you do get scammed, don't blame yourself. Don't worry. A lot of these scams, even if your bank account or your credit card or something like that happens to all of us too. And it feels bad because anytime somebody takes something from us, we feel bad about it. But most of the time these days, you're not really out the money. If credit card companies made you pay for every not legitimate, nobody would use credit cards anymore. And they know that. So what they do is they take the hit, they reverse the charge, and it's an inconvenience. Okay, and we'll talk here in a minute about online banking and shopping. But if you do get scammed, And that's terrible, but and also you can just call us here at the library. And if I'm not here, you can ask for Sam or myself. I'm the only mic here. You can and I'll get phone calls to say, yeah, I got this email, or I'm looking at this link, or somebody asked for this. Is this legitimate? We can help you. If you're not sure, just call the library. We can just let you know. And if you do get scammed, well, call the police first. Fill out a police report, but then you can come in and see us here, and we can make sure that you're cleaned up and ready to go.
You know how the gas the car. And it's somebody taking money, well, it had to be that time because I had to be solved. But I went to the police station and I got the money back from the bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is come a long way from that.
Right. So you think, well, it had to have been, that's where they got it from, because that was the last place they used the card. That's not actually true. You don't know where they're getting it from. And sometimes the bank doesn't know. And I have two examples of how this happened. An old girlfriend of mine, years and years ago, accidentally threw her credit card in the garbage. She couldn't find her credit card, and she looked all over the house, and she said, I was cleaning up paperwork and stuff, and I recycled a bunch of stuff. I'm almost positive I just threw out my credit card on accident. So she calls the bank and she says, I threw away my credit card. I need to cancel that credit card. Okay, we canceled your credit card. We're going to send you out a new one. They sent her a new one. She started using that. 6 months later, her credit card company calls her and says, oh, well, you got a charge in Mexico for a plane ticket on your old credit card. And she's like, I canceled that card 6 months ago. Why are you letting somebody use it? And they're like, well, we don't know. I was sitting in Indianapolis, living in Indianapolis with that woman at the time, and I get a call from Capital One. And my caller ID said Capital One. I answered, and they said, we got a $500 charge from Victoria's Secret in Chicago on Michigan Avenue. Was that you? I'm like, no, it was not me. I'm in Indianapolis. Please reverse those charges and take that off. And they said, okay, just go to the computer, log into your account, and see if there's anything else weird on there. And somebody had my credit card number, and they used it at like a Burger King for a Coke to see if it would work. Then they went over and charged something big at Victoria's Secret that was expensive. So the credit card company said, okay, we're going to cancel that card. We're going to give you that money back. We'll send you a new card. I got the new card. And when you get a new credit card in, it says, got a big sticker on the front. Well, I didn't need to use it right away, so I didn't activate it. I just threw it on my pile of to-do stuff on my desk, and I said, I'll activate it. A week later, I get a call from Capital One again. Hey, the new credit card that we sent you, it's being used in Chicago again. And I said, oh. I said, well, I haven't even activated it yet. It's still sitting here on my desk unactivated. And then the woman on Capital One on the phone said, wait, you have it with you? And she said, oh, it was the new chip card. It had a little chip in it to protect you. And I said, yeah, it's in my hand right now. And she's like, well, the person who's using it in Chicago has the physical card that they're using in Chicago right now. And I said, how can that be? She's like, I have no idea. She's like, I don't know how that's possible. But so, how does this stuff get out? So, it didn't cost me any money. It's a fact of life. It did cost me time, and it's not fun. But you know what else cost me time? Writing checks to pay all my bills like in the old days. Remember at the end of the month, you'd have to get all the papers out. Oh my God. But some of you might already do that. I apologize. But that's why banking and shopping online is safe. It's super convenient. The majority of the credit cards that get out in the wild are not because you're shopping and banking online. That's not how they're getting out. Okay. And when they do get out, it's normally because of a breach for some company that had your credit card on file. And there's nothing you're going to do about that. There's nothing you're going to do because you could walk into Target and swipe a credit card at Target and they store it in their computer. And if they got hacked, I shouldn't use Target. I should use Radio Shack. Yeah, Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. If you did that to Radio Shack, I don't want to imply that Target got hacked. I don't know if they got hacked. So banking and shopping online is safe. Your credit, and most professionals will tell you, your credit card is probably already out in the wild. The chances of somebody not getting around to trying to use it, it's probably on a list of 1 million cards someplace. And they might not ever get to your credit card and try it before it expires and they give you a new card. So, and when it does happen, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't think, oh, it must have been that gas station, because you don't know. It might not have been anything at all. You don't have any idea. So we just have to live with the fact that this is how life works nowadays. Because there are a lot of modern conveniences. You don't have to do your bills that way. All my things are set up on auto pay. Wow, is that nice? I don't miss a payment at all. It's all on auto pay. Unless I look at my bank account and go, ooh, I don't think auto pay is going to work this month, and I have to do some shuffling. Happens sometimes, but okay. So you asked about algorithms last week. So when we use social media and when we use our phones, when we use the TV sets, when we use Netflix, all this stuff, algorithms have been used for a long time. Computer programs to try and guess what we want next, to try and influence what we see on the internet. Okay, and I thought this was a good little video describing how algorithms work. Okay. So earlier when I talked about those mindfulness classes that I'm going to be doing in February, this is one of the reasons. When we have algorithms that can really figure us out very, very efficiently. And I have people ask me that all the time. Is my phone listening to me? I was just talking to somebody about something, and then I see an ad of the same thing. My phone is listening to me. No, your phone's not listening to you. The algorithm on your phone is so good at figuring you out, though, that it doesn't have to listen to you. It can figure you out just by your usage. Okay. The example that I use is Target figured out how to tell if a woman was pregnant based on her shopping habits. And it was good. It was an algorithm, it was a computer algorithm, and it worked really well. Our brains, our minds are basically really advanced pattern matching machines. That's what language is. Computers are really good at pattern matching in very, very large data sets. Okay, so it can compile a lot of data about you and then notice patterns that a normal person would not be able to notice, because a computer can really look at millions and millions of data points in seconds and figure that kind of stuff out. So this is, you can look this up on Google. It was a very interesting story. It was a man, I think he was in Wisconsin, who his 16-year-old daughter started getting advertisements in the mail from Target. This is really Target. I'm not making this up. This was really Target sending them advertisements for pregnancy stuff. And the boss at Target said, well, I'll make sure that this doesn't get sent to your house anymore. I realize that your young daughter doesn't need to be getting this stuff. And it turned out that she was pregnant, and Target just successfully, the algorithm successfully realized that she was pregnant and started sending her information. So those algorithms are also designed to make these devices addictive. They're designed to keep you coming back to look at this stuff, okay? And it's easy for us to do. It's designed to do that. Mindfulness is a way of noticing when those things are being intrusive without you realizing it. So getting a mental exercise like mindfulness meditation, doing it a little bit every day, is going to help with that kind of stuff. It's going to help keep you insulated. It's going to give you space between when something happens in your reaction. Is all mindfulness does. But it takes practice. It's like practicing a sport or a musical instrument. If you do it a little bit every day, calm your mind down, over time, that's going to seep into the rest of your life. It's going to make a lot of things easier. So when I promote mindfulness classes for modern times, we're going to be talking about modern technology, how it's short-circuiting our minds to a certain extent, and how we need to be a little bit more mindful going forward to keep that from happening. It should. It should. And we're also going to be doing a Star Wars program on May the 4th next year, called May the 4th Be With You. Lots of libraries participate in that. And we're going to be teaching a mindfulness class designed for the youth for that very reason. The thing is, and I'll get to you in a second, Artis, I apologize. The thing is we're in a much different world today. Back in the old days, we were mindful. We didn't have a choice. We got on a bus to take a bus ride someplace. We were mindful. There was nothing else to do but ride the bus, you know? Not to be gross about it, but when we went to the bathroom, we just went to the bathroom. Nowadays, we got to feed. Anything we do, we got to feed. This thing beeps and buzzes. We can't concentrate for long periods of time if we got a device that's going dink, right? And you can tell them that all the time, but you know what? I know it really well. And I still find myself watching something on TV and instinctively go into what am I doing? It's hard. It's hard because these machines are short-circuiting that part of our mind, and it's doing it on purpose. Okay? And even when you are mindful, and I practice mindfulness and I meditate every morning. I've gone on 7-day meditation retreats. Okay? It doesn't solve every problem. It helps a lot, but we're still going to be pulled to this.
Samsung has a mindfulness app. It's on Samsung Health. And it's ironic for you to say that, but it's still attaching you to this phone.
That's not all bad, though.
No.
That's not all bad. It's a tool.
Right.
right? So there's good and bad about with every tool, you know, and if you're mindful about it and you start to realize this isn't helping. The kids came up with a term called doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. And the kids came up with this because they realized, the young ones, they're like, what, why am I just so pressured to keep scrolling through these TikTok videos like this? You know, and they realize it themselves. Like, no, I'm doom scrolling. I need to. Why is that happening? It's because you get a little dopamine reward in your brain when you do, and it's an addiction. It becomes an addiction, and it's trying to keep you there. So, yeah. Artists, yeah.
When I was back up in 1992, we used that same process for behavioral science.
Mindfulness?
No, algorithms.
Oh, algorithms. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so when I sit here and I listen to this, I think about that. And basically, they've been doing this long before now. And like you said, it was way back then that they were using this, which they done brought it forward. And the tech is so advanced that has really updated
Right.
the process. But I don't know, I guess it's me and my thoughts of and what I did then and what I think about now helps me to kind of get a better understanding of what you're talking about, you know, for what's
Yeah.
going on now.
So artificial intelligence started in the 50s and 60s. It's not new. Algorithms, selling and sharing information about other people to make money is not, none of this is new. When we talk about artificial intelligence next week, we talk about technology grows exponentially. And that's really hard for humans to grasp. We're not built to really understand that fully, what exponential growth is, but it doubles itself, which makes the growth accelerate at an increasing rate more and more and more. So even though this stuff's been around for a long time, it's only now in modern times that this technology growth rate is starting to accelerate to the point where we're having a hard time as human beings managing a relationship with machines. And it's just going to get worse faster, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. This technology and artificial intelligence is going to bring wealth. It is going to bring energy independence. It's going to bring so much, but who gets that wealth? Who gets it? That's the thing. It needs to be thought of now. We need to be aware of how it's working, because if not, it's just going to be the billionaires who use it all, just like they're trying to.
But what is creating an information bubble?
So the pros and cons of social media. First of all, we get addicted to this. That's a con. People can put themselves out on social media and really look like an expert in something, and they're not. And because we are we are made to just default to truth, that we tend to believe those people. The other thing is we can create what's called an information bubble. What happens is these algorithms, when you start, and you've probably, if you've ever used TikTok or on Facebook, they have these reels, these little videos. If you see a video that looks interesting to you and you click on it, well, then you're going to see more of those videos coming up. You're training the algorithm to see what you like. So the thing is politically, if you are a liberal progressive, you're going to start seeing more liberal progressive stuff in your feed, not conservative stuff. The people you're friends with that are putting conservative stuff out there, it's probably going to block that and keep you in a bubble. You're not going to hear opposing viewpoints. Conservatives are the same way. Conservatives are seeing a barrage of conservative media. They're not seeing what the progressives on the outside are seeing. They're in their own information bubble. And we talk about this when I do the media literacy class. So what happens is we all get insulated in these bubbles and we don't get any outside information, right? That's what creating an information bubble is.
That's what's happening now.
Put it all on the phone. Just go, go back.
Well, no matter what side of the spectrum you fall on, you'd probably be mad half the time.
But isn't that what's happening now? And when you hear people, I know I listen to CNN while I watch it sometimes. And I listen to C-SPAN, and I hear people on one side of the spectrum, they call and they say, well, these so-and-so does that. And on the other side, they're saying, well, hey, they're doing it. And it sounds to me like you have people over here and they put themselves in a bubble and they only hear one side
Yeah.
of the subject. I know I've always been taught that, hey, no matter what happens, there are always two sides. And before you can comment on one side, you need to know what happened on the other side.
Yeah.
But see, people, from what I'm saying, people are not listening to what's going over here. It's only what they hear.
Right. And in the misinformation and media literacy class, we also talk about something called tribalism. And that's a real thing. If we get information that, true or not, if we get information that contradicts our worldview, we're apt to reject it and solidify our worldview even harder, even if the information is true and is contradicting us. So that's just a failure of humanity. And there's plenty of things we fail at, you know, but that's another one. And we do get into that in the misinformation class because that's a problem too. So we're getting a little short on time. I started 10 minutes late, so I'm going to go 15 more minutes if anybody has to go, because it's 5 till. Is it 5 till? It's 10 till. That's a little fast. We're going to go 10, 15 more minutes. So the cons of social media and these devices, computer or device, doesn't really matter. We're getting misinformation that looks real, okay? And a lot of times it's not. There was one of the examples I play in that media literacy class is a gentleman who, and he's been on a lot of podcasts too, talking about how cancer is good for you. Oh, no, that's a cancerous growth. That's your body's way of keeping that contained. And as soon as you go in there and do a biopsy or try to treat it, that's when it goes over your whole body. That has been a common misconception for a long time, been proven wrong and wrong and wrong again and again and again. But he seemed really smart, and he was on this fancy podcast. It is as false can be. And that's probably going to get people killed, you know. But when we see, and during COVID, so we're just come back from COVID. We're all in our masks. We're all social distancing. We're all doing meetings on the computer, so we can't even get in the same room together. And I have a new employee from public relations coming up. Nobody take the vaccine. It's making you magnetic. The vaccine's making, oh yeah, I saw a TikTok video. So somebody made a TikTok video, said, oh, I just got the vaccine. And they stuck a spoon to their face and, oh, magnetic. No. And I showed her how easy it was to stick a spoon to your face and make it stick. I said, that is not true. Somebody, and I don't know why people do this, but we've done it for all the time. We've had chain letters that used to go through the mail. If you send this letter to 10 other people, you're going to get good luck. So all those things, I don't know why we do that as people, as humans, but we do. And we just have to understand that that's what happens. So misinformation is one of the cons of social media. Doom scrolling, getting addicted to that next story, is a con. Being in an information bubble, having the algorithm only show you what you want to hear is not helping, and it's a distraction. The thing is we all carry these around all the time. You can put them on Do Not Disturb to get something done. Most of us don't. I'm guilty of it too. I'll need to really concentrate on something at my desk at work, and this will ding and I'll go to the ding. I know better, and I still do it, right? So it can be distraction, but there's good pros to it too. It's a tool for people who are lonely, for people who can't get out. It can be a social connection to the outside world. It can be. It can be a platform for societal change and activism. And we've seen this over and over again in the Arab Spring, in other things where people needed to band together. They used social media to get together for good things. and evil bad things too. It's just a tool. It can be connective. It can keep you up to date, you know, social networking. And I have an app on my phone from WGN Weather that will give me notifications about weather in my area. And when they say in your area, it's because it knows where I'm at, which is great. Because I was on vacation driving through Missouri, and my phone starts going, there's a tornado warning in Missouri right where you are. You might want to get off the road, right? That is amazing information, right? So there are a lot of good things with this phone and the computer, but we need to spend a little bit more time being contemplative about how we're using it and how it's using us, because in a lot of ways it's using us. Okay. We already talked a little bit about this. Online shopping and banking is safe. I used to talk about using a secure website to make sure that the website that you're on was secure. I took that out of the slides because nowadays, if you are on a website that is not secure, you're going to see a message like this. So a message like this is telling you that the website, and I think all modern browsers do this now, the website that you are communicating with is not using a secure connection. That means that somebody conceivably could see the information traveling over the internet between your computer and that website. So when is this important? This is important when you're using a website that might have personal, financial, or sensitive information going over the line. There are times where it doesn't matter. And you can hit the advanced button and say, go to the site anyway. It's not up there automatically, but the card catalog for the library to look to see all the books we have. There was a while there that it wasn't on a secure connection. I changed that, and now it is on a secure connection because people started getting this message. But I didn't have it on a secure connection because who cares? There's no information going between you and the card catalog. There's only information of you. I mean, you're searching for books, but that's the only information. None of that is sensitive. None of that identifies you. None of it is financial. It's just really all the books we have, and it's public. So who cares if that's on a secure network or not, right? Not that. This is just if you wanted to look just at our card catalog without having to log in or any of that. So I didn't have it on a secure connection. But the thing is when these browsers started throwing this message up for any website that was not secure, well, it forced me to secure that website. Not because it really, I think, makes any difference. Because anybody can, it doesn't matter. There's no sensitive information. It's just a list of books we have in the library. But I didn't want anybody to get this message. It would throw people off. So I secured it. So anyway, from now on, if you ever get this message, you might not be on the right website you're trying to get to. It's probably the right thing, because almost every website is secure now, so you don't get this message. But there are some odd times where I get this message and go, well, what information is going over? Doesn't matter. It's just a card catalog. Look at it anyway. But now you know. So two-factor authentication is a second way for a website to prove that it's you trying to log in. And your bank and your credit cards and even Amazon and Facebook, they all have this ability now. If you're worried that somebody is maybe getting into your stuff or could potentially get into your stuff, you can turn on two-factor authentication. And what that does is you give them your mobile phone number, and then they send you a text to make sure that you are the owner of the phone. They send you a text with a little code number, and they say, what's that code number? And if you know what that code number is, we know that you really have this phone. And then they're going to use the phone, your phone number, to text you just to make sure every single time you log in. That way, if anybody else tries to log in, you're going to get a message on your phone. Hey, somebody's trying to log in. Is it you? And if it's not you, you know someone else is trying to get into your stuff, right? But if you turn on two-factor authentication, then you'll get the code. You put in the code, and then you're in. And then you know nobody else is getting into your stuff.
On that website.
Right. So most all websites that deal in any kind of sensitive information have the ability to turn on two-factor authentication. Your bank, your credit cards, Facebook, Gmail, all of that. You can turn on, you can just go into your settings and say, turn on two-factor authentication. It doesn't have to be your phone number. You can get an app called an Authenticator app that you can use instead if you want to set that up. See me in help desk, because I do that sometimes too. And the Authenticator app is just, you open the app and it tells you the code number for that website to get into. So you log in and it says, no, give me the code from the Authenticator app. You put that in and it'll let you in. So that's just an extra added layer of security that it's your choice, but it works pretty well. Keeping an eye on your credit reports isn't a bad idea. I use an app called Credit Karma.
Check them over the internet.
Huh?
Check them over online.
The credit report? Yeah, but the credit report, the credit report that I pull up on my phone, I can pull up my credit report right now. It shows the accounts that I have, how much money I owe on each of the accounts, what my credit rating score is. It doesn't store my credit card numbers in the app. It doesn't have my address. It doesn't really have any information like that. Right. Right. But so all the different credit reporting agencies, you can go right onto their website and see all your stuff online. And they're collecting that stuff without your permission already. You know, and it's kind of already out there. Experian got hacked a couple of years ago, and all of our Social Security numbers got out in the wild, and we didn't even have a relationship with them at all. And what happens when that does happen is they'll give you free credit monitoring for a certain amount of time. So if you ever get an email that you've been hacked, that like a company that you had an account with has been hacked, first change your password. They'll probably require you do that anyway. Second thing is take them up on that free credit monitoring, because then you'll get emails if there's anything fishy going on. But if you downloaded an app on your phone like Credit Karma or used it on the computer, you'll see if fishy stuff's going on. It's an interesting tool to use. It's safe. It's made by Intuit, the same people who make QuickBooks and TurboTax. They're a big company. The other thing you can do is turn on credit use alerts. Most credit cards, if you log into the website of your credit card, you can turn on alerts for any time you use the credit. And you can set it anytime any charge is made or anytime over a certain amount is made. But for a lot of my credit cards, I just have them text me a message anytime it gets used. So if I like run up to McDonald's and I buy something, well, as soon as I buy it, my card goes ding. Hey, did you just buy something from McDonald's? So, yes, I did. It's just a little alert. Yeah, it's pretty handy. Because, yeah, if I'm sitting home watching TV and it goes ding, did you just buy something from McDonald's? No. See, that's pretty handy. LifeLock is credit monitoring. It's a paid service. And there are other paid services out there that the biggest, what you don't want to get out into the wild is your Social Security number, because people, if they know you, they can use that Social Security number to try and take out a loan in your name. And if that happens, that can be really difficult. People spend a lot of time working with credit, because what happens is the credit reporting agencies report that you're a deadbeat and that you're not paying your loan back, and then your credit score suffers, and it can be really a lot of work to try and get that back. So your social security number is, that's what you need to really be careful about, making sure that it's safe and protected. But like, people don't realize that your bank account number and your routing number is not that sensitive. It's on the bottom of every check you write. So when you write a check to the drunk guy working at the convenience store on the corner, you just gave him your name, your address, your signature, your bank account number, your routing number, and what bank you bank at. So that's a lot of information. So knowing what is sensitive and what isn't sensitive is, yes, Pete.
It's the same thing. So when you go to a hotel.
Yeah.
You give your card, and they give you the door key.
Yeah.
Give your information on that strip also.
No, I don't think they're going to put that information on that door key. No, because that's a pretty easy thing. It's pretty much a yes or no. It's pretty much, when you put that door key on the door, it says, oh, is this a yes or a no? It's a yes. They just program a yes or no. It doesn't. It would be a big liability for them if that was on those cards. So. Okay, and then we're about done. It's 3:07. So some pros and cons for social media for kids. Australia just passed a law that says that they're not going to allow kids to use social media until they're 16. There is some questions about whether that's legitimate or not. Facebook won't let kids sign up if they're younger than 13, but then kids just lie about their age. But just so you know, there are cons for kids. Unrealistic body standards is a big one. You can really curate your image when you're sharing yourself on the internet, right? They only see your best. They only see your best photos of you, and you can use a filter to make you look better. You can just tell your camera to make you look younger. And they work great. So what happens is these young people see other people on the internet whose lives look perfect. They're thin, they're beautiful, everything that happens to them is great. And then they get an unrealistic standard of what life is like. And they're young and they don't understand that somebody like that. I mean, when we're older, we realize that the first long distance relationship we were in didn't tell us a whole lot about that other person, right? When we met him for real, then it was like, oh, well, all the stuff that you didn't want me to see, you never emailed me about. And that makes sense, right? But kids don't get that. So not only can they be bullied online, which there's a certain part of me who says, you're going to be bullied all your life. It's time to learn about what that is and how to manage that. Because just because you're a kid doesn't mean you're not going to be bullied forever. But also there is a possibility of getting some inappropriate content or talking to people who are a lot older than them who might be able to con kids. Pretty easy to con kids. But there are some pros of social media too. They can have positive engagement that can create a mental resilience to them when they use social media.
You know that there's a discussion online about social media. People in some of their employees like Google, all of them,
Yeah. And like I said, Australia is outlawing it for kids under 16. There's been some rumbling that they need to put warnings on Facebook and other things like that. I don't have a problem with warnings at all, teaching people how the negative consequences of some of this. But if you are going to let your kid or children be on Facebook or on social media, it's a good idea to also be on social media yourself and participate with them in the social media. I know people who say, well, I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want everybody being my friend and all this stuff. You don't have to do that. You can be on Facebook and just be friends with your family and nobody else. And if somebody tries to friend you, just say, you know what, respectfully, the only thing I'm using Facebook for is to monitor my kids and my family. And they should be able to respect that. You know, Facebook and social media, it's just another tool. It's how you use it. I know people who say, I don't have a TV in the house because I sit and watch TV all day. Well, it's not the TV's fault. Right? Social media is the same way. It's how you use it. Right? And if you pay attention to what your kids are doing, you know, they don't always understand when they're young that things can stick around online. They don't always understand how much trouble they can be if they start sharing naked pictures of themselves with their friends at school because they're underage. They don't understand these things. So we need to be mindful of what they're doing, how they're using it, and